Shabbat Shalom and welcome everybody. It is the last Shabbat of the secular Gregorian year. Wow. What happened to 2022? It's gone. It's all right.
I feel like I'm okay with that.
It's not as good as when 2020 was over.
that was
really good. Anyways, it's great to be here together on this last Shabbat of the Gregorian calendar. I'm Rabbi Javier Carapan, and I am joined this evening by Leslie and Warren and our very dedicated one-man Beyond Our Walls committee who helped us. And, you know, these days, especially last week, it was so cold, and so many of you were able to join us virtually. It was really important that we have. His name is Dave Zucker, by the way. We are used to him. We see him every time right behind everybody, but you don't get to see him. You don't get to see him because we don't have a camera on him. So, a reminder: maybe we should start putting pictures of Dave on. Randomly.
Why would you suggest something like that when he can hear you?
He's right that he can actually put a picture of himself anytime.
You're walking around my house.
Although I think many of you joined us for the candle lighting for Hanukkah. So you saw Shamesh, what's his name?
Shimshon the Shamash.
Shimshon the Shamash.
And if you didn't, you can go back
Dave.
and check it out.
That's Dave. For those of you joining us virtually, we now have a full PDF for Friday night services. You can find the page numbers at the bottom of each page, and they're always in square brackets. No, I'm sorry.
In person, they're in square brackets.
Oh, I apologize. So explain this to me so I know.
So the PDF online, because it comes from the full book, it's the regular page numbers. We use the slim version here in person, so it's the numbers and brackets.
Gotcha. All right.
That way everybody has the same
That's
page
why my script says, for those of you in person, we're calling the page numbers in brackets. I was trying to improvise, and I shouldn't. But for those of you here, this is not an improvisation. We do ask you that you please make sure that all your electronic devices are on silent. And it's time for us to welcome Shabbat. And for that, I have the honor to invite Andrea Swivelman to light the candles. We are on page 120. If at home you have candles, please go ahead and light them as we join together.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kedeshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu l'hadlik ner shel Shabbat. Almost said Hanukkah.
You're going to have to wait a whole year for that. Shabbat Shalom. Good to see you. Glad you're here. Look at us giving kisses and all that. That's different. Thank you. We join together on page 127 at the bottom of the page. We offer thanks, O God, for this Shabbat, which unites us in faith and hope, for Shabbat holiness, which inspires sacred living, for Shabbat memories glowing even in darkness, for Shabbat peace, born of friendship and love. We offer thanks and blessings, O God. We continue welcoming Shabbat, page 138. We join in the words of Lecha Dodi. We're doing stanzas 1, 8, and 9.
Lecha Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi, Lecha Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor וזכור ודיבור אחד, השמיענו אל המיוחד. אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, לשם אל תפארת ולתהילה. לך דודי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. יאמירו שמאל תפרוצי, ואת אדוני תעריצי. על ידי ישבר חרצי, ונשמחה בין הקהילה. לך דודי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. בואי ושלום עטרת מעלה, גם בשמחה ובצהלה. תוך אמוני ים סגולה, בואי חלה, בואי חלה. לך דודי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה.
You may be seated. We continue together welcoming Shabbat on page 140, words from Mizmor Shir LeYom HaShabbat, Psalm 92.
מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמחה עליון, ולזמר לשמחה עליון. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמחה עליון, ולזמר לשמחה עליון. להגיד בבוקר חסדך, ואמונתך בלילות, עלי יסוד עלינו, עלי היגיון בחינות. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמחה עליון, ולזמר לשמחה עליון. כי שימחני אדוני בפועלך, במעשה ידיך ארנן. מה גדלו מעשיך אדוני, מאוד
מחשבותיך, מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון.
יתקדש שמי רבה, בעלמא דברה חירתי והמליך מלכותי, בך יכונו ויומכון, ובחיי לכל בית ישראל. בעגלה בעגלה, ובזמן קריב, בימהו אמן. יהא שמי רבה מבורך, לעלם לעלמי עלמיה יתברך. יתברך וישבח, ויתפאר ויתרומם, יתנשא ויתהדר, ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמי דקדושה בריחו. לילה בין כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, תמירן בעלמא, ואמרו אמן. יאי לי לי לי,
יאי לי לי לי,
יאי לי 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 לי,
יאי לי 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 לי, Baruch Adonai,
Amevorach,
Amevorach,
Leolam,
Leolam, We continue together, page 149. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way in which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Creator of the tide of time and light, you guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'ma'ariv Aravim. Ahavat Olam Beit Yisrael, Amcha Ahavatam, Torah u'mitzvot, Chukim u'mishpatim, Otanu limadta. Al ken Adonai Elohim
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לעולכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
Amen. Continue together on page 157. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדב הקודש, מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדב הקודש. נורא תהילות עושה מלך, נורא תהילות עושה זה אלי אנו ואמרו, זה אלי אנו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. יאי לי 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 לי, יאי לי 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 לי, יאי לי 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 לי, יאי לי 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 לי.
We continue together in the middle of page 160. Grant, O God, that we lie down in peace and raise us up, O guardian, to life renewed. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Guide us with your good counsel. For your name's sake, be our help. Shield and shelter us beneath the shadow of your wings. Defend us against enemies, illness, war, famine, and sorrow. Distance us from wrongdoing. For you, God, watch over us and deliver us. For you, God, are gracious and merciful. Guard our going and coming to life, to peace, evermore. Blessed are you, Adonai, guardian of Israel, whose shelter of peace is spread over us, over all your people Israel, and over Jerusalem. Baruch atah Adonai, hapores sukat shalom aleinu, ועל כל עמו ישראל ועל ירושלים.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורתם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורתם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בניך
נחושת,
ימים
ימים עשה אדוני,
את השמיים
ואת הארץ. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש, שבת ויהי נפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. na 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 Adonai. na 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 שפתי תפתח. na 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 ופי יגיד תהילתך. na 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 Adonai. na 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 שפתי תפתח. na 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 ופי יגיד תהילתך. na 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 Adonai. na 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 שפתי תפתח. na 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 ופי יגיד תהילתך.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel ve'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor ve'Hanora, El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim Vekone Hakol Mezocher Chasdevot V'imahot Umevii Gula Livnei Bneihem Leman Shemo Be'ahava Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magen Baruch atah Adonai Magen Avraham V'Zrat Sarah Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai Mechaye Metim Atah Rav L'Hoshia Mahashiv HaRuach U'Morit HaGashem Mechalkel Chaim Bechesed Mechaye Metim Berachamim Rabim Somech Nofelim V'Rofech Oholim U'Matir Asurim U'Mekayem Emunato Lishenei Afar Micha Mocha Bagevurot U'Mido Melach Melech Memit U'Mechayeh U'Matzmiach Yeshua V'Neiman atah l'Hachayot Metim Baruch atah Adonai Mechayeh HaMetim
אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יעלוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש. נעצ'נו במצוותיך ותן חלקנו בתורתך. שמנו מטובך ושמחנו בשועתך. לי 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 לי
As we gather on this Shabbat, we take a moment to think of those in need of healing. For those of you joining us virtually, we invite you to type the names in the comments. I saw we having some little issues there. Is it all resolved now, Dave? We don't know, but I'll look at the feed to make sure that we can have the names added. But for us here in the sanctuary, we have an opportunity to offer names as I go around. Thank you. Think of those in need of healing. We join our voices on page 371. May the one who blessed our ancestors bring blessings of strength, compassion, and healing to those of us who struggle with the oppression of addiction, emotional distress, and mental suffering. Surround them with love and kindness, grace, companionship, and peace. Back in October, you may recall I was in Panama City. I went to do a wedding, and then I also was there for services. And I forgot to mention that they sing the this Mishaberach.
In Panama?
In Panama.
Cool.
However, they don't do it in English.
Oh, do they?
They don't do it in Spanish either. They do it all in Hebrew. And I can't remember the words. I can find them. But so I'm curious if in other communities that are not English speaking are doing it. And my answer, I got it right there.
Wow.
What I didn't ask is if they're like in Buenos Aires or other places that do. I'll find out. But it's all in Hebrew. I can't remember what the words are. But it actually made sense. So I'll find out what it is. So it's so popular that, of course, they couldn't do it in English, but they could, but they're in Spanish. So so it was all in Hebrew.
That's cool.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I don't know that Debbie Friedman approved it, but unfortunately she passed away, so she can't.
Probably just pleased people are singing the prayer.
Yes, she is famous worldwide, certainly. It is time, and that's a simcha moment. That was my simcha, but we're actually going to have a moment to invite all of you to share a simcha. You can do that online. It could be a birthday, anniversary, good news, anything from this past week. You can type the simcha in the comments, and I will monitor the comments to make sure. But for those of you who are in person, we have the microphone here and an X. We'll ask you to stay up here while you do this. We'll also ask you to refrain from touching the microphone. And we ask that each person states their name and they share their simcha in about 2 to 3 sentences.
We all know that the broke his own rule.
Oh, were you watching that day?
No, but the word travels.
Oh my gosh. It's all recorded, unfortunately.
I had a really good...
Who are you? I'm sorry.
I'm Carol. And I haven't fallen in a year, but I did fall this week. And the good news is that nothing was damaged. I had to go to the eye doctor because I ended up with a black eye. And the good news is that there's nothing wrong with my eye, and they included my annual checkup, which was due in September, but when I made the appointment, I didn't get it until January, so we canceled January, and next year I'm gonna have my annual checkup, so everything was great. And that's more than 2 sentences, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. Stay here, don't go away. You can stay up here.
My name is Judy, and last Monday was my birthday.
Hi, my name is Stu Lewis. I just got back from attending the Limud UK conference in Birmingham, England. Had a great time. Learned a lot of things. By the way, for those who don't know Limud, it's a Jewish learning experience. It takes place, well, I should say it takes place every year, but this is the first time in 3 years. We're back live after 2 years of virtual.
So this is from someone online. Reina says that she recently moved to Glenview, Illinois, to be near her daughter and her family. So,
Well, we're glad you can still be with us. I'm Leslie. And tonight I got to pray with the folks over at Village Shalom. The congregations take turns, and maybe some of you don't know this, Beth Torah leads services for Village Shalom every third Shabbat. But this month had 5 Shabbats. So they called, and I went over and I got to pray with them twice this month.
well, thank you.
One more from online.
Marilyn Lewandowski says she's happy to be out of hospital and thanks for all the help in providing her transportation.
Marilyn Lewandowski is pleased to be out of the hospital and thanks everyone who has helped her with transportation.
We have, thank you, anybody else? We have 2 things to share this evening, 2 pearls of wisdom, so to speak. But the first one is a tradition we've started a few months ago, which is that every time that we get to the first Shabbat of a new Hebrew month, we say a special blessing. So, and you may know this, but Hanukkah begins on one month and concludes on the next month. And it was after Shabbat Hanukkah that the months change. So first, a blessing for the new moon. Yehi ratzon milfanecha Adonai Eloheinu Eloi Avoteinu, our God and God of ancestors. May the new month bring us goodness and blessing. May we have long life, peace, and prosperity, a life exalted by love of Torah and reverence for the divine, a life in which the longings of our hearts are fulfilled for good. Rosh Chodesh Tevet Haya B'Yom Rishon. The new month of Tevet began on Saturday at sunset. And this is not only a blessing for a new month, it's also a short blessing for a new year. And this is a prayer composed by Kenneth Patron and is found in Kol HaNeshama, which is the Sidur, the prayer book for the Reconstructionist movement. And it's titled New Year's Day. Each year should be the best year we have yet lived. Each year we are more learned in the ways of life. Each year we are wiser than the year before. Each year our eyes know better the sights to seek. Each year our ears listen with a finer tuning. Every happening is a jewel wrought about the fancy of time, All that we understand of the universe is the setting for each sight and sound of day. The child looks with gladness each year to be 1 year older. Should not this welcome pursue us all our years? The piling of the years is a richness like the piling of gold. Our years are coins with which we can purchase more wisely at the bazaars of each new season. Our love is more pliant and patient, having been taught by time. The new year is 1 year older than the last. The earth is more abounding in its growth. The creatures have moved another step in their unfolding. Humankind has left us 1 more year of art for our contemplation. History is 1 year more resonant with lessons. The sunrises are 1 year more familiar and promising. The sunsets are 1 year less fearful. And the peace of the night is 1 year closer. As we now gather all the simchas that we have shared, we offer a prayer. Divine source of blessing, we thank you for everything that enriches our lives. We turn to you now with gratitude as we share the happiness of those who have marked their birthday, anniversary, good news, and accomplishments. Adonai, be with them now and always. May they be blessed with the strength to overcome sickness and sorrow, and with much health and happiness now and always, as we honor each one of us for the gifts that we bring to our sacred community. We join together in song as we mark this sacred occasion.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה.
Shabbat Shalom and Happy New Year and Mazel Tov. You know, the new year, at least the secular new year, it's a time of merriment, toasting with champagne or cider, apple cider, which we do a little later, and feasting and attentively watching a crystal ball, which apparently is got a new crystals this year. Have you seen that in the news? Wow, how exciting. Around the world, most Jews actually do mark the secular New Year on December the 31st. And this is a question I was never asked, but I think I should have been asked. How do you say Happy New Year in Hebrew? You never asked me that question, and that should be a question. You do not say Shana Tova, right? Because what does Shana Tova mean? Oh, Happy New Year, but for which New Year? Rosh Hashanah. So you can, if in Israel you say Shana Tova, you're like, wait a minute, it's not September. What are you talking about? Mata Omer. It's not Shana Tova. They say Sylvester Sameach. Right? Because in a lot of places in Europe, also in German, the word for New Year's Day is Sylvester Day. So they say Happy Sylvester Day. So in Hebrew, well, kind of in Hebrew, Sylvester Sameach, which means happy. Right? Shana Tova means good year, but it really means the Jewish New Year. So we can't say Happy New Year other than Sylvester Sameach, which I am sure you'll never use, but now you know. Now, we are starting, this is really for a change, but not a lot, just a little bit, the beginning of 2023 feels more normal. Although I must say more people contracted COVID that I know of during 2022 than in any previous year, including myself. Maybe it was because I went to Panama, but that's another story. It happened right after I came back. This is a fact, though. The pandemic is here to stay, and it's perhaps a new normal. We do feel thankful to have survived one of the worst pandemics in human history. But at the same time, I think that we feel a sense that we have just never really know or cannot know what the future may bring, what the new year will bring. It's part of human experience not to know what the future would bring. And at the same time, it is part of the human experience to want to know what the future will bring. In the Torah, you may remember that young Joseph thinks that he can know what the future will bring. He dreams all these wonderful dreams when he is 17, and those dreams contain a glimpse of what is to come. But at 17, he could not have imagined what awaited him at Dothan and then in Egypt. Much would happen to Joseph and to his brothers until they can be reunited. In the Torah portion for this Shabbat, Parashat Vayigash, which literally means he came forward, we read about the happy conclusion of the Joseph saga. Joseph reveals himself to his brothers and asks them to bring their father Jacob to Egypt. And after a long time and much sorrow, the family is finally reunited. And looking back at what transpired among them, Joseph says this to his brothers. Va'ishlacheni Elohim lifneichem. God has sent me ahead of you to ensure your survival on earth and to save your lives in an extraordinary deliverance. Obviously, at this point in the story, we know things turn out pretty good for everybody. But who could have thought that such an ending would come as Joseph sat at the bottom of the pit or in prison? No one could know. Indeed, the lesson of the story is that we do not know how our lives will turn out, what our journey will be from now on. In his book on reflections on the themes of the weekly Torah portion, Rabbi Chaim Stern retells a well-known Hasidic tale, and don't feel bad if you've never heard it, but it's pretty common, about not knowing what the future might bring. It is the story of a man who lived in Krakow. It could have been lived anywhere, but in this case, he lived in Krakow and dreamed several times that there was a treasure near a mill awaiting his arrival to dig it up. And so he left his house early in the morning and dug diligently, but could not find anything. And when the miller came, he asked the man from Krakow why he was digging near his mill. And the man explained that he had, a dream, blah, blah, blah. And then the miller cried out, "Why, I dreamed that there is a treasure in the courtyard of a certain man in Krakow." And he named the man who was digging. And the man promptly returned home and uncovered the treasure in his own backyard. Now, obviously, I have always thought that this story was about not recognizing the good that we all have in our own lives. Obvious, right? But as I think about Joseph and his brothers, I wonder what the story teaches us about deciphering what the future holds for us as we decide whether to follow our dreams or not. I mean, the miller had a similar recurring dream, yet he didn't do anything about it, did he? He didn't go looking for the man in Krakow. Fact, all of us go through life missing signs and opportunities. Some of us would not even explore one sign, one opening. We prefer the safety of what we know, of what we trust. To me, the story of the man from Krakow is not just about acknowledging the good that we have, but always looking for things to get better, even if it means digging in the wrong places. Refraining from acting on our dreams and aspirations is simply not willing to leave our comfort zone, not even for a second. I don't know about you, but I try to live my life not always in my comfort zone. For instance, I am planning my upcoming sabbatical, which will include studying German intensively for about 5 hours a day for maybe a month or so in Berlin. Now, why? Because that's something I've always wanted to do, and it will take me outside what I'm used to. I know that my brain is not what it used to be 10, 20, 30 years ago, and that it will be much harder now. Still, I welcome the change, the challenge, the opportunity to be in a foreign country again and to make plenty of linguistic mistakes in another language. I know that sometimes it would feel like digging in the wrong places, but not digging at all is not an option for me. The Chefetz Chaim, famous 19th century rabbi, once said, Jacob dreamed of a ladder standing on the ground and reaching to heaven. This means we never stand still. We either ascend or descend. In 2023, I will choose to learn new things, to experience new places, and to meet new people. So the question we all face is, where will our journey next take us? Someone once said that life is not about growing old, because that will happen no matter what we do, but about growing up. We either ascend or descend. If we are not learning something new, if we are not actively making the world a better place, if we are not growing up, we are instead descending. If anything, this time of the year is a time to reflect on the past and plan for the future. As we come to the end of 2022, we must take time to express our gratitude to the people who have been there for us. Here, our congregation at Beth Torah, we celebrated and learned together. We cared for each other. We mourned and comforted each other. In some, we not only grew a year older, but we did the best so we could grow up together as individuals and as a congregation. And it is my prayer that 2023 will bring a better tomorrow. May 2023 arrive with a promise of new opportunities and with a possibility of changing our lives for the better. May 2023 be a year of digging up new and exciting treasures, and may we continue to grow up together. May the new year bring your family much happiness and health. and in time, may the world be a safer place again. Shabbat Shalom and Silvester Sameach. You got to use it once. So our music team comes back. We invite you to turn to page 586, and if you're able, please join us for Aleinu L'Shabeach.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'Adon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל מעונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא.
נאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד. ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני, אדוני אחד ושמו אחד. ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד. נאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד. For now about 2 months, we've been starting a new practice in our congregation, that instead of doing one of the readings that we have in our Siddur, we invite one of you to share words of remembrance about a loved one whose yahrzeit we marked today. And some of you responded to our High Holiday survey, and you told us that you were interested, and so when the time comes, I will be calling you. And some others have been invited throughout the month. We do this a couple of times a month. And this evening, it's my honor to invite Estelle Edelbaum to share our Azkara. Estelle.
My name is Estelle Edelbaum. Dora Edelbaum was my mother, who died on New Year's Eve afternoon on the last day of 2002. Dora was quietly remarkable. Her moral compass was extremely accurate and on target. My mother stood up for what she believed to be right, despite what others around her might have thought. She taught us to be caring and compassionate of others, and she showed us by example. Here's a couple of examples. Coming home from getting a tooth pulled, I was still groggy and fell asleep on the bus next to my mom. When I woke up, the bus was packed. My mother was no longer next to me. I panicked, but then I realized that she had given her seat to a pregnant woman, and now she was standing behind me. My mom told me this story about her mother, whom she lost in the Holocaust when Dora was only 12. Dora's mother sent Dora to the home of a poor family armed with a pail of potatoes. Her instructions were to say thank you for lending them, and no matter what, she was to bring home the empty pail. What Dora didn't know was that she was being used to allow the neighbor to accept charity without the neighbor incurring shame. Dora lived her life for others, and like her mother, often used us kids as her instruments. She was friendly with an elderly widow who lived down the block from us. My mother would have my sister or me spend the night with her sometimes so she wouldn't be alone. My brother would mow her grass. I miss our Tuesday Dora days, driving her to doctor's appointments, doing her laundry, grocery shopping, and often lunches of a hamburger and hot fries. I miss our Shabbos routine. Back then, Friday night services started at 8 o'clock. I would tell her that Glenn and I will pick her up for services. She would respond with saying she doesn't feel like going and for us to go ahead without her. After much cajoling and bargaining and begging, we would finally convince her to go to services with us, starting with dinner at the Chinese restaurant at Metcalf South for kreplach soup. Of course, they called it wonton, but... Then dropping her off at home, she'd thank us for taking her, and next Friday we'd do it all again. I miss saying I love you and her responding, I adore you. I miss calling her at 10 o'clock at night each night, or her calling us. I miss her saying, be careful, and call me, and keep in touch, and call your brother, and that was a good one. And the best one, it's on the house. She loved us equally and always wanted the best for us. I miss her as I remember her today. Happy New Year, Mom. Silvestri Sameach.
Thank you so much for those words, Estelle. As a congregation, we are observing the Shloshim period for Walter Prager, brother and brother-in-law of Ronnie and Larry Lerner. And on this Shabbat, we remember the following yortzites of members of our congregation: Lester Balaguer, Barbara Barron, David Blackman, William Carter, Harry Zarlinski, Robert Deister, Dora Edelbaum, Edward Ginsberg, Michael Goldman, Mary Herman, Wilma J. Hunt, Stanley Kislick, Joseph Koch, Werner Levy, Hillary Lewis, Anise Mendelson, Olga Minkowski, Maurice R. O'Brien, Sally Osman, Harry Reisberg, Eleanor Lee Ravel, L. Jack Roth, Lucille Schlesinger, Esther Shapiro, Harry Skickney, Sam Stromwasser, Michael Timmerman, Howard Tobias, Ruth Tobias, Craig Wachnov, Francis Weinstein, Betty Willer, Dorothy S. Willer. Zichronam Livracha, may the memories be for a blessing. Page 598, together we rise for Kaddish Yatom, the mourners' Kaddish. Itgadal ve'itkadash shemeh rabba, be'alema divra chirute ve'amlich malchute, בחייכון ובמכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בעגלה ובזמן קריב, ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מברך לעלם ולעלמי עלמיה, יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמי דקודשה בריחו, לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דאמירם יעלמה ואמרו אמן. יהי שלמה רבה מן שמיה, וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן.
עושה שלום במרומיו,
It's time for some announcements. And I just want to add that if you just listening to Estelle were inspired by also wanted to do an Azkara, if you haven't filled out the forms, it's all right. You can email me or the office, and we'll get you on the schedule if you have a specific date that you would like. Special thank yous to our wonderful musicians today, Warren and Leslie, and to our Shalom squad, Judy Weingarten and Barbara Mendelson. Thank you. Sorry.
Also, thank you for those participating in worship tonight, Andrea Zwiebelman and Warren Sickle, and thank you again to Estelle.
Thank you to the CBT bakers for tonight's goodies in the oneg. And again, thank you, Estelle Robam, from your Azkara reflection. Our Shabbat celebration continues tomorrow morning with Sichat Shabbat, our Shabbat conversation in the library. And that's going to be also virtually, thanks to, we have a volunteer, one of the students who's going to help us be online and all that. So that's going to be great. And then Shabbat services will be following the class at 10:30. And those are going to be here in person and virtually.
All right, mark your calendars. January Shabbatot of note. Are you ready?
Every Friday.
January 6th, we're going to do our Friday night Torah service. January 13th is our Beit Tefillah, Songs of Justice. RSVPs for dinner are required. Or at least they are if you want to make sure that you get food. You're welcome to come anyway. January 20th is our new member Shabbat, and then January 27th is our first family service Shabbat of the season, where one of our classes from the Weiner Religious School will come help and lead services. So we hope you come and join us for all of that joy.
And if you don't remember any of that, if you just remember that you can find all the information on our website and our public calendar, and if you have any questions, please call us during regular business hours, as they say, Tuesday.
After our closing song, we invite you to join us in the Ulam for Kiddush and Hamotzi and Oneh.
So in our closing prayer, it's a mishmash of two songs that we're going to sing together. I think it's going to be pretty easy, but the first one, it's in English, and the next one is in Hebrew. If you're able, please stand and join us.
Should old acquaintance be forgot and never brought to mind? Should old acquaintance be forgot and old lang syne? For old lang syne, my dear, we'll take a cup of kindness yet for all lang syne. Adon olam asher malach b'tzedem kol yetzir nivra le'ed nasa b'chevzo kol azai melech shmo nikra beyado av kidruchi be'et ishan be'ayra be'imruchi yeviati Adonai li velo ira. We'll take a cup of kindness yet for all lang syne.
Shabbat Shalom, Simester Shabbat.
Take care of each other out there.